Seeing none. Items closed. Items closed. Thank you. Next item is item 5B, presentation. Ms. Tucker and Ms. Rose. What's that? We need to get Councillor Query. We'll also need that mic working, staff. Welcome, Don. Welcome.
Just need a presentation. Don Tucker. I'm representing myself and Judy Rose, and we've brought before you a petition that's been submitted. Thank you, staff. Today, I'm here to talk about the murals in our community in general, though we've specifically sort of focused around the Sveva mural. This is in general around all the murals in our community. We're looking to specifically ask Council about implementing a arts and culture policy along with an independent committee to go along with it. And we're asking for some clarity around the sale of the lot that you see with the mural here that was sold last year. That's part of the cultural corridor that where the bookends of the Axel Ebring and the Sveva Catani mural exist. I beg a little bit of leeway with this presentation so that I can discuss the reasoning behind these asks, even though I know as well that these are, the policy is part of the strategic plan. I also understand that it's not a priority at the moment. I think there's some good reasons why it should be a priority, and I think the presentation will add some clarity to that. I'd like to start a little bit about the history of it because I think both for the public and for Council, it showcases a little bit about why we have the murals in the first place. These murals were brought in as part of a DVA initiative, a very progressive initiative, I might add, that was a unique design and build P3. It won numerous awards. The issue that the DVA had was how to fund it, and that was something that was very unique that Michelle Lowry brought in, which was a trades training portion. That was the catalyst to how this was funded. This took youth that were at risk, and it put them to work not just on the murals, but many other things. They worked out at O'Keefe Ranch, they built planters, they built benches, they were used for many businesses to do cleanups. They helped at the Luke Gerard cabin. They helped in different parks. They were used all over the city and the downtown core. Many of the programs that we are familiar with from the Youth Ambassador programs onwards, they are spin-offs from the mural program itself. This was a funded redevelopment. So this was to help issues that we were having at the time in the downtown around graffiti, crime. That was a time that was worse than what we experienced in 2018. And I think anybody that lived here at the time, I think Mr. Mayor, and you would have moved around here around that time, you remember it quite well. And this was something where this program was meant to help combat it. And this was one of the reasons why the alleys were painted, because this was where we were having a lot of issues with graffiti and crime. And this not only brought youth down there working, but it brought the community down there in droves. It was meant to bring people into our downtown core, and it was very successful. It had huge buy-in from our community. I mean, this was seen, in fact, where I don't think you'll find another time when the DVA had more employees on its books. You'll look at some of their numbers, and they had over 70 employees on their books, and that's related to the youth in this program. This was about getting wayfinder signage, and this is, basically getting people to stop in our community and walk. And they do that to this day. So it gets people out of their cars and walking around downtown and looking. And these murals had a legacy that was hoped to have of shared economy, getting money being shared with our business community and bringing prosperity where it needs to be, which is with our business owners and with the community as a whole. There were strict rules around it as well. You couldn't put up signs on the murals. You had to have certain colors. They were all part of a program. They were taken from the museum. There was a committee that did it. It wasn't chosen by Michelle. There were 2 books that they took the photos from right here, and that's where those photos were chosen from. And that was all they were chosen from. So they were following a strict program of that. And there were books as to what you could and couldn't do. There were only certain colors that could be used, only certain placement. And so if businesses decided, but I would like a tattoo mural on my tattoo shop, the committee would say, no, it doesn't fit into our theme. We have this theme, we have this design style, it doesn't fit in with our district. And they followed that because it was supposed to make Vernon unique. This was supposed to draw people here. It was meant to be a museum without walls. So where are we today? How are murals currently done? One thing about mural maintenance is it's ever changing. So when you look at this, you have to remember that even if you do a quote and do a scope, what you see today might be different tomorrow. You might have damage tomorrow that wasn't there yesterday. And so everything you see on a wall is multi-layered. It's paint on paint, there's things underneath. And so when there's maintenance to be done, you have to be really careful. If you just look at something that's 2 years old and you say, well, we're gonna go by that, and you go to do work on that wall today, it's not necessarily the same. So this happens to be on Wayside Press. And Wayside Press has been an incredible community supporter, especially when it comes to the murals. The unfortunate thing is this mural was glazed. Now, I'm not an expert, but from the photos, I can see that it looks to me that there may be a section that's not glazed. From the Freedom of Information request that I did, and I want to thank staff for all their help doing that, because I know that they spent a lot of time, and that has helped me a lot. I know from the emails that there was also, and I can see it when I go to there's also repair needed in some of the windows, and you can see on the doors.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah.
You were told 5 minutes. You're at 6 already. Okay. I need you to move at pace.
All right. Thank you, sir. The issue is this. It's not following best practices. So one of the issues is, without a policy, without a committee, there's no best practices at play. And this is an issue because we're not seeing that. Best practices are extremely important. And that's at a disservice to the business owners. The business owners have been promised to keep those murals in their best condition. Our latest mural that was brought into our maintenance fund, and again, without the committee and without that, we have politicians like yourselves making the decision of what comes in and what doesn't. So all the murals that were in the maintenance fund were the heritage murals, and they were meant to be kept by the maintenance fund, which was money that's 50% is $5,000, which is taxpayer funded money, $5,000 is DVA, and there was money that was left over from the community. This mural was brought in. Unfortunately, it looks to me, again, I'm not an expert, that the glazing is not correct, and now it needs repair. The unfortunate thing is, without an art policy, without this, we don't have best practices. We now have a mural that needs repair. It has a coyote on it, which is an OKIB, which is an indigenous symbol that was painted by Vancouver artists. And again, this is something that, you know, I don't know if it had gone through a committee, if that would have been approved or not. Is this of best service to the theme that was the art trail? We were the hub that connected other communities. What happens with this? Murals are starting to be damaged, and they're starting to have issues with things disappearing. Is education happening with the owners around copyright? Is that occurring? I don't know. What's happened with the contracts? There are supposed to be contracts with the murals. There's conflicts with things like the sign bylaw in terms of this gets decided. There's the open spaces where the DVA board gets to decide maybe where there's decommissioning. That was originally in our art policy, which was very progressive at the time. There was even money in our original art policy that went towards development, putting money towards our art, which allowed for more money into our maintenance fund and to purchasing new art. We don't have that currently. We lose economic potential. There's potential copyright infringements that are occurring, and this is potentially problematic for everybody. One thing that does happen.
Remind you, you're at 9 minutes now.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you 1 more minute to finish.
Communities involved in all this. No matter what happens when you go and you come through this, people come. This was fixed under insurance. I don't know if the other ones are, but I can tell you that they've not been kept in the condition that we've promised. They were supposed to be merchandised. Again, that didn't occur. It's unfortunate to what I've seen, but businesses are trying. I don't know if the DVA has continued to try to license them. I don't know. They had the steward to do that. That's what they were given to try to do. This one speaks for itself. I did report the damage on this almost 7 years ago, still not fixed. You can see the original at the top. Other art, this is the repair work that's being done. This is in Cenotaph Park. On the left, it was glazed and repaired. On the right, it was painted because it wasn't known to be glazed. You see the cenotaph at the top, power washed, similar to how the left was. Another mural's painted over. Shouldn't be. The artist is supposed to fix. And I'll just end it with this. Okay. It's the 25th anniversary of the murals. We could be getting a lot of money through grants. Taxpayer dollars don't have to pay for this. We can be getting hundreds of thousands of dollars to restore the murals. Okay? The corridor is the gateway. They stop at the multicultural mural. Okay? They stop here. They walk through these. They walk through the downtown core. A committee with multiple members on it, and it's well listed in the original policy. Members of the committee has developers on it, all of those. We have options to create a policy that doesn't have to cost us money. We could hire a consultant, which would cost money, or we could do like the Climate Action Committee, and we could have them create a new policy. We could even adopt the old policy and just slightly modify it. Okay? Ultimately, there's a lot of issues that have come up, but if this stays the way that it is, not only is Sveva going to come down with the new development, but also Axel Ebring will be mutilated because of the way that the space will end up. It'll be so tight. These murals are plaqued as well. They have heritage designation, to my understanding. So it's something that we really need to look at. With taxpayer dollars being used, there needs to be more transparency and more accountability. It's been really difficult because it's been unfortunate, but the DVA states that because they only represent their members, that there's no way that myself as a taxpayer, even though taxpayer dollars go in, that I can get any information. And I would love it to go more to a place where there's accountability and transparency, because it's tax dollars used to put those up with federal funds, community dollars, and yes, some money from the DVA, but business owners too. And I would really appreciate the fact that we look to, sooner rather than later, move into a policy and into an independent committee, and maybe even an independent audit to find out what's going on, to see what's going on with our tax dollars, not only to protect our art today, but to protect our art tomorrow and to expand it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council, any questions for Don Tucker? Councilor Munt?
Thanks, Don. Couple of questions. So we have all these murals. There's business owners running businesses there, but then there's building owners. How many of those building owners are different than the actual business owners? Because the building owners would make the decision, not the business owners, because they own the building. So if the building is in disrepair, and you showed the one where it's been painted over, which might have happened because the building owner wanted to get rid of the graffiti, I'm assuming, okay? And if that happens and they don't want to repair it, they own that building. How do you deal with that?
It's a great question, okay? So the graffiti is supposed to be taken care of. So here's the thing. The graffiti is supposed to be taken care of, to my understanding, and this is how it works from based on what I've read, is graffiti gets reported by the building owner to the DVA of the city. Then the DVA of the city sends somebody out, a contractor, to try to remove the graffiti. If the graffiti can't be removed through washing, then the artist is contacted and then it's repaired through paint. Now, and then the mural's back there. Now, what the biggest issue is the conflict right now with the graffiti bylaw. Because the graffiti bylaw, they get hassled from bylaw saying you must remove this graffiti because obviously it's unsightly, it attracts more. And this is where the conflict is. We need to have a process where the building owner isn't afraid about what's going to happen because they're going to get fined. Obviously, this is an issue. And this is an issue we need to resolve because we need to either have it where the building owner isn't the one that's the problem because they didn't cause the graffiti and they're not the one, but they're the ones expected to resolve it or they get a fine. And so we need to have a better process. Now, in the beginning, what ended up happening is they had trained artists, Michelle had trained artists, and then they would actually go around and they would repair this rather quickly. And that was a result of what had happened from the entire project. So it was funded and they went around and they did repairs as a matter of fact. So it was repaired right away. And so the building owners weren't on the hook. And the same thing when it comes to the degradation of the murals. Those murals were promised to be kept just like they were when new, and we failed on that promise. So I don't blame building owners being upset that their walls are falling apart, and I don't believe that they should be on the hook for repairing them. I believe that we should find ways to fund it so that we repair them for them, because I believe the building owners should have those murals be put back in the way that we promised them at the beginning. We made a promise and a commitment to them. So we need to restore the murals. And that would include helping them to put the walls back the way they were.
Follow up, Councilor Munt?
Thank you. So what you're suggesting by what you just said is that taxpayer dollars should be paying for the building owner's maintenance of their building. That's never going to happen, I will tell you, because then you're going to be repairing everybody's home in the community, and that's never going to happen.
Saying.
Well, you just said, Don.
No, that's not.
You said that we should be repairing the buildings of the owners. We know we can't be doing that. That's
what I said. I said, in cases of the mural, in these cases, the murals have been left so long. A lot of these murals, take for instance the Captain Short mural. That damage happened almost 7 years ago. I reported it to the DVA almost 7 years ago. It's yet to be repaired. So the question comes in, is it the building owner, is it the DVA? I don't know what's happened in that 7 years. The contracts are it's supposed to be repaired. But the damage itself, if you look at Schubert, they repaired it under insurance. What's happened with that mural? The question comes in with the OKIB mural. That one, it's had damage occurring for the last few years. It could have been repaired when it was much less of an issue, but it's been left for so long. Now it's a much bigger issue. And this is the issue I'm stating. These murals have been left so that the damage gets so great. Now the building owners are now having to pay thousands of dollars when if they were helped to be repaired when it was smaller, rather than the murals left for so long, now the damage is huge. Now is where I think we need to help with getting bigger grants to help repair them. So the issue comes in is when we leave the mural so long, rather than doing regular small touch-ups and maintenance, and when the repairs are small, getting them done, I don't think it's same thing as why are we glazing a mural with damage? We need to repair that damage, get them to repair the damage before we spend $10,000 glazing it. I mean, you can't, it's just not best practices. We need best practices.
Councillor Fair.
Yeah, I don't have a question for Don, just a quick comment to staff. So as always, or as usual, administration will bring back a report. I'm just especially interested in the pieces around the history of the Public Art Advisory Committee, the city's role in mural funding, oversight, and contracts, as I understand. That's really solely the DVA at this point, and not the city. I know Don's repeatedly used the term "we." That's just my understanding. That's not accurate. It's the DVA, as I understand. I know we've talked a bit about public art policy and identified workloads as being a barrier there, and I'm glad that this is brought to light, and I'm looking forward to those council members that choose to run again, and if elected are on the next term, really looking at building that into the strategic plan and looking at prioritizing that. And Don brought up a good point. I was actually thinking about this over the weekend of, because I operate buildings that have graffiti and have thought, well, if I had murals, there's quite a contradiction in that. So I do think that that's a piece that we can look at is there a need for a bylaw amendment in the graffiti bylaw. Yeah, that's my comments.
Councillor Durning.
Thank you. So I'm not going to add much because this was just for us to have today. But I do want to say, and I think I've had this discussion with multiple people in this room, that the public art policy, that we've discussed that multiple times at the request of the public, and that it wouldn't be started due to capacity till the next term. So I just wanted to reiterate that messaging again today, as I was told by staff when it was asked that we didn't have capacity yet to do it, and that GVAC has a public art policy. So I just want to bring those things back up.
Thank you, Don. Much appreciated. Council, can I have a motion to receive, please? Councillor Guy, Councillor Durning. Any last comments? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Next item, council inquiries. Council, are there any inquiries? No, there's no opportunity to speak from the public. No, so just a second. I'm going to call you out of order. Well, actually, excuse me. No, there is a process here. And thank you. Thank you. No, it is not, madam. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all who supported me. I am embarrassed for you all.
Sure, I gladly explain the process. Why don't I give it to you, Ms. Wood, and you can give them the actual, and won't give them the abbreviated. Go ahead, Ms. Wood.
Your worship, under item 5A, public submissions for the road closure bylaw, was the item that the gentleman was speaking to.
What she's saying is that in particular items, there is set up for public input, and for road closure, there's public input. That's why we called to the public to see if anybody wanted any public input in the road closure. The presentation made by Don Tucker is just a presentation to council. There is no public input section attached to that. So there isn't a debate, there isn't a conversation, there's a presentation to council. Yeah, different items get different approaches. Yep, you can write a letter, you can speak with staff, there's a number of opportunities to have input on something. This particular was a presentation to us, and we have, super, yes, process. That's right, and that's when councillors get to make inquiries to staff about items that are happening in the city. That's right, that's right. Super, thanks for asking. So we're now on council inquiries. Council, do you have any inquiries? Seeing none, I'll move now to administration update.